Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today we are setting up the month of November in my reading journal, and if you're new here, I have been taking everyone to a different fantasy destination each month. We're now into the 11th destination, and this one I'm really excited that I got to do, mostly because I've had the washi tape that you see in this setup for the longest time. I think I got it in my first year of bullet journaling, and it's such a specific style of washi that I've not been able to use it since, and it was perfect for this theme because it is very much so heading to the same destination that's on the washi tape. So for the 11th destination, we are heading to ancient Egypt. Well, so ancient, the 1800s specifically, but we're also heading towards finding out some ancient secrets from the ancient world of Egypt. So this is a book series that I've only read the first book and I'm halfway through the second one now. So I did time putting in this theme into my journal for this month because of the book release of the sequel, and this world is The Secrets of the Nile, or otherwise known as What the River Knows and Where the Library Hides. It's a duology by Isabel Ibanez. I hope I'm saying her last name correctly, and it gives very much so the vibes of The Mummy and Indiana Jones, and I really enjoyed the first book, and I'm super happy to be returning to this world. And whilst I'm having a little bit of frustration with the second book as I'm reading it, I know it's going to work out really well. So yeah, really happy to be doing this theme, and it's very different from the other locations that we've gone to throughout the year. A lot of them have been quite fantasy based, and this one is definitely more of a historical archaeology type world, which I'm really excited to be on because as a historian by nature, this is my cup of tea. So that is the sneak peek page done on the left side, and then on the right hand side I'm going to just do the title. So I did a different amount of titles, whether or not I actually pinned it in on the book like I am here, or using it on a piece of what is it, card, which you can see that I'm now picking off the back of some double-sided tape of. I decided to use card for the first time or cardstock for the first time in my journal. Now we're getting to the end of the journal and it's already quite thick, but I haven't used a lot of thick materials so far, so I decided that I would utilize this navy color because I wanted to have a really rich navy gold type color palette for the theme. And so I'm really happy that that went quite well with the overall look and with the golden hues of the aesthetic photos that myself and the wonderful Millie, or Camilla Reads on Instagram as she's called, have come up with. We're really thrilled with how this theme came together. And then the star of the show is obviously the washi tape. I had to use it on almost every single page because, like I mentioned before, I've not been able to use this washi tape since I think 2017, so it needed to have its moment and be on every single page to make this worthwhile. So I'm almost done now with the cover page of this book, and I will admit that this video is slightly longer than usual, mostly because I didn't really want to cut out as much footage as I normally do. I try my best to make this as enjoyable and condensed as possible, but sometimes I do get comments about why do I cut so much of the footage out, and so I decided to leave some in. Obviously doing these stickers, it does take a lot of time to get the backings off and all that, so I do still speed through that. I think for the top line here it kind of just jumps to having them all done, mostly because my camera has a 25-minute limit and then it cuts out and then I have to restart it, so I probably was around that time and then just ended up putting them all down in place off camera before setting it back up. Little things like that, yeah, there we go. Little things like that happen all the time, and it's just sometimes easier to just continue doing the task that I'm doing and then turn the camera back on. So we're flipping now into the monthly view page, and for those who are new here, this is my calendar spread. I like to jot down where I start and finish a read, and I've changed how I use this page. I used to just write down the percentage of what I read each day with a acronym for the title, and I have since evolved into just using this as simply a place to see where I start and finish a book. I use a small diary that is a very cheap student diary, where I jot down the percentage and everything like that, and so I felt like I was repeating myself by doing it here, and so I've decided to leave this calendar a bit more visual, like visually appealing rather than heavy in percentage numbers everywhere. I also struggled a lot with this pen, so it's a Faber-Castell PITT Artist pen in the medium size, and I'm not sure why it's running out because I hardly use it. So whether or not maybe some air got in there and it got a little bit dry, I'm going to have to look in and see if I can heal the pen, which you can do. You can try and bring them back to life a little bit, but you can see I finally got it working here by going really slow, but I tried again later in the setup of this and it didn't work. So it might be time to get some new pens, and it's a good thing that I have ordered some in the mail. So sorry, they're in the mail right now, so they should be here soon to replace some of those pens. So I'm using this wonderful, very thick, vibrant washi tape down the bottom, and I just love the Egyptian style in it and just everything about the colouring. It's one of my favourite washi tapes I've ever had, and like I mentioned, it's so specific that it's very hard to utilise in other setups. And I'm so glad that I've been able to bring them out of the washi tape storage and use them in this theme. I was actually very fortunate. Well, I don't know if everyone would see it as being fortunate, but I was very fortunate to have a teacher when I was 8 years old who was really obsessed with Egypt, and I'm not sure how he got away with it, but instead of teaching us math for an entire year, I mean, he did a little bit, but not a great deal, we fully focused on ancient Egypt, and that is when my love for history sort of developed. I remember just having so much fun reading the textbooks and having discussions about Cleopatra, and we even made a sarcophagus, which was real fun, like with paper mache. And I remember that being one of my most beloved early childhood memories from schooling. Obviously, as subsequent for having an entire year dedicated to history rather than math, my math skills are incredibly poor, and I would be lost without a calculator. So there was a payoff. Generally, though, when you're doing history, you don't need to have a great deal of math skills. So that, I suppose, worked out for me in the end, as that's where I went and did my degree at university. I admit that I used a white gel pen for the days of the week on that monthly view calendar, and unfortunately, you can't see it very well on camera. We're now flipping over into the NetGalley November and Clear Your Shit readathon pages. I do a lot of jumping around, I must admit, with especially this side of the book, simply because there was a lot to fill in. So this is essentially a Snakes and Ladders board game, and it's called Pages and Plot Twists. And as you can see, I started doing it on camera for you all to see the colour scheme. I was following what was on the picture, that's why I was taking moments to pause and see where they went, and then my camera definitely needed to be charged, so now we have it fully coloured in, and these numbers all represent a prompt, and the gaps that I'm leaving are ones where there is a prompt already on the board. And then the two white corners are the start and finish of the board, so it's quite a full-on little readathon game, and I'm not sure how many rounds I'll get to play of it, or if I'll even get to the finish line, but I thought this would be really fun to do over November. I've already had my first roll of the game, and it actually went really fast. So I landed on a square where I then had to move 8 more paces forward, and instead of reading a book specifically to a prompt, I ended up having to read outside, which you'll be able to see in a reel on my Instagram very, very soon. It was very, yeah, very fun to have something that's not necessarily fully focused on getting a certain book read. This was really good too, because the book that I chose to read outside is one of my ARCs, and that is the whole point to this readathon. NetGalley is a place where you can pick up early access books and early listening copies of audiobooks, and I was reading, which I've already mentioned, Where the Library Hides by Isabel Ibanez. So it was very much on form for this readathon. So this whole readathon is around your NetGalley shelf. A lot of us who read ARCs tend to apply for way too many, and then we have a stack of them to get through in a certain amount of time. So this was to kind of help people who had huge backlists. I'm one of those people who can't cope if I don't read the book before the due date. I am very much so a person who gets anxious if I am late. So I have most of my books up to date, but I do have a few on my list that I would kind of like to get through. So that is why I am participating in this readathon. And I thought it was a really fun idea with the whole plot twist rather than the ladders. So that's what I'm drawing in now, little like ropes. And yeah, I just think this was really fun. And if you're looking for a readathon, I will link that below for those who are also obsessed with applying for ARCs like myself. So we're almost on the final touches to this board, and then I think it skips into me already filling in the prompts down the bottom. You'll see that there's a big gap on the right side by the board, and that's where I'm going to put down the books that I have read, and it's gonna look a bit weird right now, being blank. It was a big spot that I could have potentially put some artwork, and I think I do go through, you don't see it on camera so much, but I think I did it after filming this, that I did go through and add 2 more photos to this page just so it was a little bit more coherent. On the right side, I've got the Clear Your Shit readathon boxes, and this is another readathon, but it goes from November to the end of December. It's kind of like when you get to the end of the year, it's a way to prompt yourself to get through some of those books that you've really been meaning to get to throughout the entire year and get them done. And I really, really like this. There's a lot of lore around the game. Again, I will link the readathon announcement below. And hopefully you guys can still hear me, because my mum is playing a game in the background and it's quite loud. So I just thought I'd point that out. If you can hear, I don't even know what she's doing. It's like killing something. Like, I don't know. It's making a loud bang. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. The Clear Your Shit game, you do have a character, kind of, you make it up yourself. You can be yourself, or I guess you could make yourself into someone else. I'm not sure. But you get a strength, a weakness, and a weapon, and they're normally really quite funny things. So that's what I'm now inking down the bottom here with my alphabet stamps. And I do feel that in on camera as well. And I really like the choices for this game. So this is in year 5. I think I've played this now twice, previously before this year, and it's just a good way of getting some prompts done, and it's very much so down to your own interpretation of the prompts as well. And there are like mini battles or mini bosses and little secret prompts as well. So I really do like that this is quite an involved readathon, but you also don't have this massive pressure to get it all done. Do you know what I mean? Although in saying that, it is me, and I am one of those types of people who will feel the pressure to try and perform as much as possible. You can't see because the book was off, but I did, off camera, sorry, I did add some more of that hieroglyph washi tape, and that's where I stick some of those pictures off camera. You can see I think it's in the first portion of this book as well as at the end in the flip through where that changes. And now I'm just adding in the prompts for this portion. So it's split between 2 months, and I tried to split the prompts kind of that way as well. I think I've got more on this page than I will for December, but that's absolutely fine. And I've already started reading the first prompt on the list, which is bad guy / villain of some kind. And again, where the library hides has that going for it. So I really do like that I can use the same book for multiple prompts, because that keeps me productive throughout the month. So once we finish adding in all these prompts to the page, this 2-page readathon spread is complete. I did mention that I will be putting in my strength, my weakness, and my weapon, and I'm really happy with the ones that I've chosen this year. So for strength, I believe I have chosen one that a lot of people would probably choose, and it is Temptation Master. So this one represented not buying a new book for the readathon, and I have been known to in the past to think, oh, this book would be perfect for a prompt, and going out and buying it. So I have withheld from doing that. Thankfully I've got quite a few that would match a lot of these prompts already. The weakness I have is Kindle Kryptonite, and that is I participate in Stuff Your Kindle days, even though my TBR is already long. And if you've been on the channel for a while now, you'll know that I have a Kindle takedown game where I'm trying to get rid of all the Kindle books that I have, either read them or unhaul, and I'm not doing very well at all. So I'm definitely going to have to make that a focus for 2025. And my weapon was a thesaurus, so like I mentioned, it's just a lot of fun, and I will have those readathons linked in the description so you can check them out if you want to join in. It's not going to be too late to join in. I know I'm narrating this on the 4th of November, and I will have it hopefully up on the 4th of November, so still early days, and you can definitely catch up. I'm now moving on to what I call my functional page. I have 3 things on this page. I used to have 4, but I've stopped doing events. I kind of put it into the TBR. I'm not sure how I'm going to frame this next year, because I do kind of miss having that 4th one, but I kind of scrapped it because it wasn't fitting in when I would have other things in my monthly setup. But for now, we've got 3. So we've got the TBR list, which has evolved from 8 books to 10. Again, I'm not sure why that's been happening, but it has, and I haven't really done a huge focus on trying to finish my entire TBR. I kind of see them as a pile of possibilities. That's what my friend Monica tends to frame hers as, and I think that's a really good way of putting it. I might change to doing that next year, but essentially I just put a list down that I think would suit for the month, to go with the prompts, and also any other books that I need to read, like book club read or something like that. So I've left 10 spots for the TBR. I've got 5 spots for my own TBR game, which is the TBR vending machine. And I do apologise that I haven't been playing that for the last few months. If you're new here, I have had quite a lot going on this year with my mum's health, and it has really slowed down my video output. And I'm very hopeful that we've found our rhythm now, and I can hopefully get more videos filmed without her playing games in the background, but it makes her happy, so I'd rather hear that noise than not at all. But it does mean that I haven't been able to share those types of leading up to the next month videos, and I'm hopeful that I might be able to do the very last TBR vending machine game, even though I'm not supposed to do it in December next month, because I have missed sharing it with you all. I normally have December off and June off, but I think I'm going to go for the whole year. We have already flipped over from the prompts and TBR and the library hire section, and we're now on the final page, which is the reading log, and I am very happy with how this came together until until I put the washi tape on. I think it crowds the header, so I might have to change that if it still bugs me in a few more days. But overall, this is where I put down all the books that I've read for the month. I leave 12 spaces. That has been most of the time enough. I do have to do a tip in for my monthly wrap up for October because I read 13 books, so I do have to add one of those in. But generally, I don't have a need to make a second layout, which is very thankful indeed. And I really like how this came together. I didn't mention the pens that I used in the beginning, aside from that I wanted to have a navy or like a royal blue and gold type theme. You've seen me use a Tombow pen in the blue, which is the header that you can see right there, and I've used a paint marker with the dot end for the dot work. But here in this one you'll get to see the other color that I used, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because it's one of my favorite Tombow colors ever, and I am just obsessed with this pen. It's just like the perfect gold, and I'm using it currently in my reading data setup, and I just want to use it in everything. So that's why it's crossed over into this November theme. That's it there. I'm just obsessed with this color. Um, and yeah, I'm really happy with the overall vibe of this theme. I'm glad that I got to use the washi tapes, and I'm glad that I was able to share a bit more of the setup, because normally I do cut quite a bit out just because it's repetitive and it will shorten the video down. I'm not sure how many people will watch to the end, but if you do, please put your favorite emoji in the comments section, and I will be so grateful to know that you've made it to the end of this very chatty video, and also let you know that I do have a few videos that I have been working on behind the scenes that need to go up. I still will have my quarterly flip through, which is for July to September, to go up. I have another reading data journal video to go up, and there is a couple more that I need to film as well. So there will definitely be content coming for you in an abundance over November as we get closer to the end of the year. With all the wrap-ups and the setups for next year going on, I definitely want to have as much content out as possible. But once again, I can't confirm a schedule for you all just as of yet. Life has still been dealing me a very different curveball than I'm used to, so bear with me. You will have content coming up regularly. I just can't tell you when they'll come. I will try my best to have community posts up about the future content to look out for. So I will just leave this here. Thank you so much for spending some time with me as we travel to Egypt, and try and find out the secrets of the Nile and figure out where Cleopatra's special items end up. I'm really excited to finish the book, so I'm probably going to go read now. Again, thank you so much for spending time with me, and until we next meet, I hope you have fun reading, journaling, and I hope you're all well. Thank you again for a great year for those who've been around for the entire fantasy destination. I can't believe we've got one more left, and I better start planning that because it's going to be a special one. Bye everyone.